Hey everyone, welcome back to the Avalaunch GameFi channel. This is Zach, also known as Trading Aloha on Twitter. Today we're going to take a look at part 3 of the 4-part series on Battle for Giostone. We're going to examine the hero creation, the gameplay mechanics, and talk about the different ways you can earn within the game. Before we get into the mechanics of the game, I had a chance over the last few days to talk to Maria, who's the art lead for Battle for Giostone. We talked about where her inspiration for the art came from, and her perspective in general from the artist side of the house, which is always interesting to hear. So let's take a listen. Maria with us from Battle for Giostone. She's the lead artist, and she's joining us today to answer a couple quick questions about how she's got involved with the Battle for Giostone project and try to share with us kind of her thought process and how she started developing some of the characters, traits, and art for the game. So we just had a couple quick questions, and I appreciate Maria taking the time out of your day to join us here and kind of answer those questions and share with us your perspective on how the game's been going. And first, thanks, welcome, and I'd love to hear from your side how you got started as an artist outside of Battle for Giostone.
Hello, Zach, and thanks for having me. It's really thrilling for me to be taking part in this interview. So yeah, as long as I remember myself, I've always been a creative person. I played musical instruments, I wrote short stories and novels. I invented games with my friends, and I've always been doodling something. So it was only natural for me to become an artist at one time. Yeah, and I should say that I began in the gaming industry as a localization translator. And I spent some years like that, and then I decided that I want even more out of this world of games. I want to create my own worlds, to invent my own characters and universes. And here I was. I re-educated myself, and yeah, now I'm able to create models for games and animate them and stuff like that. And I'm really happy this place. And what attracted me to this particular project was, first of all, it was the team, really warm and welcoming people, so friendly and nice. And second comes the visual style of the game. I really very much like MOBA games for their cozy and cute stylized art. If you take Heroes of the Storm, Dota 2, Leagues of Legends, they all have something in common in terms of this stylized, very picturesque, I would say, art with a little bit distorted proportions and bright colors. And this is really appealing for the gamers and for artists as well, I believe. So this is what inspires me the most.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. The team's been great to work with. Every time I've had interactions with Melee and anyone that's part of the team, yourself, and even Theban, they've been great. It's been a pleasure to talk to everybody. And the art has been fantastic. Every time I see something released or any animation, it's been great. As far as kind of the development of the art itself, what's been your favorite kind of character or part of the game to develop? Has it been a certain character, a certain mob, or a certain map that you've really kind of had the best time creating?
Well, I should say that we're not there yet. We're still in progress of creating this game. Yeah, and the road is full of surprises. And although we're still on the road, there were really a number of things that I loved very much and that surprised me. For example, we have this character, whose name is Gogmangogn, this really fat and intendedly ugly wizard. And first when I saw him, I was thinking like, what is this? How can he be appealing? How can he be interesting? And then when we started to work on the animations of those characters, the guy who animated him, he made a really good job in reimagining this character and creating some really weird and characteristic animations for him. So he like invented his own personality for this character, and some new level appeared. So yeah, stuff like that. When it happens, it's always a nice surprise to see it, how the team is working together, how things interconnect, models with animations, visual effects with the environmental art. It's always very inspiring, and it adds some deepness, and it makes this job really rewarding.
Yeah, that character is one of the first ones I saw on Twitter when they started promoting it. It gave me a good laugh the way they were pushing it, and it really was a good time. It drew me into the community and the Discord, and it seemed like everyone kind of rallied around it too. So it was a good way to see the game start to get pushed around, and it drew me in as well. So I'm glad that that's one of your favorites too. Speaking of that, when you say kind of the road and the challenges that kind of pop up, I'm sure there's quite a few in the creative process. So I wasn't sure if you could share kind of what do you find, and it doesn't have to be specific to Battle for Giostone, because I'm always interested to hear from an artist perspective. What do you find kind of what's your most difficult area when it comes to a creative process and trying to get something started or overcome a barrier in the creative process?
Well, for me as a lead artist, I have to set up this unique, this mutual visual style to create some average level of stylization between all the assets. And we have many different artists who work, and we have to help them work in one style, more or less. And it's kind of a challenging task. Yeah, and I think we're still in the process of bringing all the parts together under one style, and we'll be there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is maybe it's a little bit technical. It's connected to the NFT cards themselves. As you know, we're going to be trading NFT cards for the forged characters, and those characters will be represented with different pieces of armor that you can forge in the game. And as long as all characters' shapes, figures, silhouettes are so different, and we still have to put one and the same piece of armor on all of them and make it look believable. We had to invent some system where all those parts, all those pieces of armor would become interchangeable regardless of the shape of the silhouette of the character. I don't know if you can still follow me, because it's a kind of a difficult system to describe.
Yeah, it makes sense. I gotta understand that. Yeah, the different shapes and sizes of each character, and making sure that. Yeah, I can see that being an issue.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it already is a challenging task when you do it for the game, but we can ask our 3D artists to tweak a little bit each model of the armor to fit this and that figure. But with NFT, you only have one piece of this constructor that should fit every body. Every character body. And this is a bit more challenging, but still we're inventing something. We're making those shapes more average in size and shape, and we're reinventing our stylization rules. So yeah, there are some unexpected challenges on this path.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't even imagine how difficult that's got to be to lead the team and make all those tweaks and changes to bring a finalized product that everyone's going to be eyes on all the time, playing and seeing every little detail. I mean, to see the final product as a lead artist and see like a flawless game, it must be fantastic. And I know that you're striving towards that, and that's I'm sure that you guys are gonna deliver. And I can't wait. I personally can't wait to play it. It's one of the few games that I'm really looking forward to. And I can't wait, but it's something that's way above my skill level. So what you do, it amazes me, because I am the furthest from an artist as can be. My daughter outdoes me at 7, so I can't even begin to imagine. but no, I appreciate all of your input and your time to kind of answer these questions and kind of give a viewpoint outside of, you know, the development and the technical aspects from an artist's side on how you kind of developed and what your challenges and your way ahead is, and anything else that you'd like to talk about or share as far as, you know, the Battle for Giostone project or just as an artist in general, either in the NFT space or outside the NFT space at all. If there's anything else that you want to discuss before we kind of wrap this up.
I would like to add that this project seems quite unique to me because we have an artistic director who is inventing the lore behind the whole story. He has written a whole novel, I would say, a piece of history behind it all. It's like a fairy tale. It's quite unique, and the lore is based upon it. And this same man, he's making sketches for the whole game, and we're basing our assets and our concept art off of these sketches. And Alexander is a person who really adds a lot of character to this whole invention, and he's not letting us make it too generic. He's adding his personal touch. And I believe that this project will turn out a little more different and a little more unique than everything we have on the market now, because of this personal touch and because of this teamwork that we are doing, because it's only as a team that we can achieve anything. And I'm very glad that the guys I'm working with are so open and friendly, and they really appreciate all the suggestions that can come from me or from anyone else. So I very much hope that we end up with a great project, with a great game that looks fantastic, and that will take our place somewhere very high.
Yeah. No, I think it's great that you mentioned the lore, because I right before this, a day or two ago, I was kind of jumping around the website and I noticed that they added a lore tab, and I started seeing that chapter by chapter was being added, and I was like, oh wow, they're really going kind of deep on the lore, and it does look like it's going to get very detailed, and I think that's a great aspect to add into the MOBA style gameplay that'll just take this game to the next level and allow it to continue on as it kind of develops and plays out and releases, and then allows it to really expand and build upon as it continues down the road. So yeah, I think all the pieces are there, the team, the gameplay, everything is there to be that game that really solidifies itself as the MOBA on the blockchain, really the first MOBA on the blockchain, and being the first go-to game. And I can't wait to see it play out. So yeah, I'm on board with you. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah. Awesome. It's great. So I thank you again for coming on here. And I know it's hard with all the time zone differences, so I appreciate linking up with everybody and making this happen.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
So now we can transition over to kind of what is Battle for Giostone, how do you get started, how do you create a character, how does the gameplay mechanics work, and really all there is to know about the internals of the game on an overview level. So basically, as we've kind of discussed before, it's a MOBA style game where there's 2 teams of 5 players that compete against each other to destroy a base that's going to be defended by the opposing player. And in that map, there's going to be mobs that attack both teams. There's different lanes, which we'll go over. But how do you get started? First, you're going to need at least 1 hero. You can only control 1 hero at a time on your team of 5. And there are 6 heroes that you can choose from for character creation. So you've got a wide variety of heroes that kind of fit all your unique play styles. You've got melee warriors, ranged warriors, melee assassins, ranged assassins, melee wizards, and ranged wizards. So pretty much a style for everybody. So you can kind of see here on the Battle for Giostone page, it kind of lays out each one of those characters and kind of shows a quick snapshot of like who they are, you know, what they do, how they interact. And just basically on the art side, you can see exactly how they'd look in game. And you can kind of go from there to see where you want to start as far as what class you'd like to kind of be your first hero to create. And to go a step further, you can go in and select, say you want to take the melee warrior as your first hero. You can go in there and take a look at kind of their base stats, which shows you kind of where their base levels are. So each map you start out as level 1, and you can progress through by killing mobs and enemies and bases and shrines kind of as the game progresses. But then every map you kind of start over at level 1. So from here, you can kind of look at, if you like the melee warrior, you get an idea of kind of what his stats are. You get a kind of a little lore background here. And if you want to go back, you can check out the other ones one at a time. It's just on their homepage at battleforgiostone.com. You can take the melee wizard, as we kind of discussed in the interview, Gogmangogn, who's the rather large blue character here. And you can go in here and see kind of his stats too. So once you get your class figured out, you basically have to pick 4 abilities that you can use to kind of make your character whole. And there's going to be 72 abilities total. So where it comes down to is some of these are listed on the website. If you go under game abilities, you can kind of see some of them. They're getting added as time goes on, and they can be slotted in a total of 3 different places. So I'm sorry, 4 different places. They can go on your hands, legs, body, and head. And to take that a step further, each ability is going to have a different rarity between common, rare, and legendary. And each of these abilities has a cooldown that you also have to take into consideration. So with 72 different abilities, you get to pick 4 is basically the bottom line there, that you can play around with depending on the class of character you are. And then you also have to take into consideration the team that you're trying to form with other people, if you happen to know them, to try to build a well-rounded team that kind of plays off each other's strengths and weaknesses. So if you're just a solo player jumping into a kind of a made-up team as the day goes on and different teams all the time, try to just create the character that works best for you and you have a fun time playing. But if you're kind of into the team aspect, you've got squad, you're on the esport side of the house and you're getting ready for competition, you may want to reach out to your fellow squad and team members and kind of build a team together based on what style of gameplay works for everybody. So to take an example here from like critical strikes, you can take a look at exactly what it is. It'll pull up it gives you a brief overview, basically says every 3rd attack of the hero deals a certain % of auto attack damage. Only auto attack damage is amplified and additive bonuses except for hits already marked are ignored. And it shows you the complexity and kind of where you can slot it in, which is the 3rd slot on the body. And then it shows you an animation of kind of how it looks as it's displayed. And all these are not updated yet on the website, but the team is still working to get these updated. So as they kind of go through and add the animations for all these, you can get an idea of what each of the 72 different choices are and kind of how they fit in to your character creation. So let's kind of move on to the gameplay itself. So once you've got your character created, you've got your first hero, you've got 4 other people you're ready to play with, you're ready to jump into a map, you're going to look at a 5 versus 5. There'll be a story mode as well that's going to be available, and then there's going to be more information that comes out separately. But basically in the story mode, you'll be able to encounter and kind of battle unique creatures that drop materials that you can then use to forge a certain set of heroes with kind of limited abilities that you can play the game with as well. But that's still in development, and more information on that is coming out. But the main kind of focus of the game right now is going to be the 5 versus 5, kind of on what's depicted below this kind of map as far as how the layout will look when you start. And basically the overall concept of the game is you want to go down one of these lanes to the other enemy base and destroy it. And to do so, you can gain power-ups along the way. There is a dragon that will spawn at either the top left or the bottom right of the map, and you need to kill him 3 times, and he'll drop a stone at each time you kill him that you can pick up that will increase your abilities. Combining all 3 of those stones, if you manage to get them, which are, the dragon is called Geo, which is where Battle for Giostone comes from. If you combine all 3 of those Geostones, it allows you to destroy the enemy base much faster and ultimately win the map. So you kind of basically you start off on a 5 versus 5. You're going to go down and you'll see kind of it's depicted on the website. It kind of breaks it down one thing at a time, which I really love. Really simple to understand. There's 3 lanes that you can see depicted here, kind of on the top, middle, and bottom. Each lane has its own kind of play style. that your team can discuss kind of which one works out best for you as you kind of get used to which ones kind of fit which squad makeup the best. But you can only pick one. So you pick the one you want to go down. You start working your way down, fighting the towers that you can see kind of laid out in the middle, and the mobs and creeps that work up your way to attack you as well. So along the way, there'll be shrines that you can use to restore your mana and health to your hero, which is way better than having to go all the way back home to heal up and rest up. You can only use the one depicted on your side of the map. So say you're the blue team, obviously you can see the center line here, and then once you've crossed that line, these are the enemy shrines, which kind of can be destroyed, which will slow their progress as well. So you want to make sure that you use that last shrine area wherever it is to rest up carefully before venturing out over the center line of the map. And then you've got the bases that are the ones you need to destroy. It's also where the creeps spawn, and it will attack as well as heroes get closer to it. And then along the way, you'll have towers, and to get to the enemy base, you must destroy all the towers in at least one of those lanes. So they attack you as well as you get closer. So you kind of just work your way down the map, destroy the towers, then destroy the base, and then ultimately win the game, especially if you've got the geostones, which, to highlight as well, if you have, say, 2 of the geostones and your hero dies and you had to go back, you drop the stones, someone else can pick those up. So you just got to be careful. I wouldn't run off solo all the way down the map, get killed, and then end up giving the stones to the other team. So something to keep in mind kind of as you play along. And these are a picture of the creeps that kind of walk the lanes and attack enemy creeps, heroes, towers, pretty much anything in their way, depending on what side they're on. So they also drop gold and allow you to get experience as well. So kind of what I mentioned earlier with each map players start at level 1. They can get all the way up to level 10 per map, depending on amount of mobs and heroes and towers and bases killed. And that, of course, increases their abilities and stats too. So it's something you don't want to go out of your way to avoid killing these guys. It just helps your characters get stronger as you kind of go along. And then here's a quick picture of Geo, who's the dragon that spawns 3 times in the game, as we kind of talked about. And you get specific power-ups, making it easier. And if he spawns, I would recommend just going after him, killing him, getting the stones. That way it makes your life easier to win the game. So for ways to earn in the game, there's a bunch of different ways, and I think the team's done a good job here of kind of identifying the issues that's been identified in previous games of the last 12 months or so, and trying to head those off and trying to create a good way to make a revenue loop that is both sustainable as well as ensuring the game is fun long term. So the visual here can be a little confusing to follow, I think, but it's really descriptive and kind of makes sense if you kind of break it down. So there's a couple of ways that you can earn. The first one is simply just playing the game, battling out the other players to earn rewards, either maintaining a spot as one of the top players on the leaderboard and earning BFG that way, which there'll be more information on kind of how the leaderboard rewards shake out when the game's released, or just in general, from winning matches and collecting GST that can be used to forge heroes, and those heroes then can be sold on the marketplace along with the weapons or skins that are found that also generate revenue for both the team as well as people who don't have the time to play, who are stakers. So the second part of that is staking. So staking NFTs is how you'll earn from the marketplace transactions. So basically what happens is if someone doesn't have time to play the game, they just want to invest passively and kind of benefit from the revenue that's generated from players playing the game and also using the marketplace, they'll buy a set amount of BFG, which will then be turned into a crystal NFT. That crystal NFT will be staked into the contract and will earn a set ROI or set APR based on the amount of BFG that they staked. So that being said, you'd think that would be all there is to it, but to kind of build the players who are playing the game into the passive investors, there are ways that you can add modifiers to that crystal NFT to increase the earnings. The only way to do that is from items that are found in-game. So the stakers can buy those items from the players on the marketplace, which one, gives more players reasons to continue playing the game to find those items, and 2, every time they sell them, they generate transactions, which then generate fees, which then are recycled back to both the players as well as the team and the stakers. So everyone kind of wins in that aspect. So I think that's a really interesting way to kind of approach it that helps the entire ecosystem kind of continue as a circle as the kind of the game starts to develop out into the first like 6 to 12 months. So then on the player side of the house, you've got another way to earn too. So you've got your hero, and you can start collecting items and forging new heroes. And say you only want one hero, you love to play a certain style, but you've got enough GST to forge a couple heroes, and they end up being kind of rare. You can sell those heroes on the marketplace to guys who are looking to put together a depth of heroes that that they're either streamers or their tournaments coming up, or they just really love to play and they want to have a depth of abilities and heroes to pull from, depending on the teams that they're joining. So you can sell those on the marketplace and kind of put some money back in your pocket, but at the same time you can continue on and still just play and have fun with the hero that you created. So if the heroes that you're creating don't fit your play style, just sell them and continue to move on. Someone will buy them that's interested in that type of style and rarity, and you can keep on moving. So just another aspect that you can kind of generate that extra bit of revenue, and it's not meant to be like life changing. I mean, I think we're at the point here where the game is fun. That's the main purpose of the game. If you can make a little bit of money on the side, that's just an added bonus. But of course, there's always the potential is there, say, to become one of the best MOBA players, the best BFG player, and jump into esports and jump into tournaments and streaming, and then generate your own revenue that way, which is always a possibility. But in general, for the regular guy who's got an hour to play like myself, just have fun. And if you can make a little money on the side from it, that's great. So I think the team's done a great job of kind of setting the expectations at all levels, but also having that ceiling that anyone who, with the the dedication and the skill and ability, can reach up to and achieve and actually earn some decent income, depending on the size and scope of the tournaments. So that really kind of wraps it up on the overall kind of like game mechanics and hero creation and general walkthrough on kind of how the game is going to work once it's released here in the next couple of quarters, as the pre-alpha is going on now, and we'll see more things get finalized here at the end of Q3 and going into Q4, and I'm really excited to see what the team puts together. You can always find more information out on their Twitter. And I would recommend jumping in their Discord because they are always active and always responsive. I've had to interact with them multiple times just to get clarification on some things that are rapidly developing and rapidly changing, because these guys seems like they're always working. So that's something I love to see. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to give it a try. I've been looking forward to a game that I can actually play and enjoy and not worry. I'm not worried about is what the revenue is and what the income is going to be and how much APY, and do I have to wake up 6 times to do something, and I'm just going to play and have fun. And I think that's all that we can ask for as the next generation of GameFi, which it truly should be. The first and foremost thing of gaming should be to game and have fun. So I think I really look forward to it. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to part 4, which is next, and we're going to talk about how they're going to incorporate the esports and the influencers and streamers into the mix, which I think is a huge part of MOBAs, as we've seen kind of on on the Dota side and all the other games that stream on Twitch, and it just has a massive following for all MOBAs. So I think if once that starts taking off and the game is fun, it's just the sky's the limit. So I'm excited. I can't wait to kind of talk about part 4. So I hope you tune in. If you can, drop a like here, help the YouTube algorithm out a little bit, subscribe, hit me over on Twitter at Trading Aloha if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.